In a community where trust in the uniform is sacred, shocking allegations rise. An officer with nearly 4 decades under his belt, praised, respected and commended by his peers and the community. But what if behind that polished badge lurk disturbing secrets? Today we take a look at the life of a celebrated Tasmanian cop and the disturbing allegations that led to his demise. Stay tuned as we unmask the story of this alleged child predator behind the badge and uncover previously unreported information in regard to this shocking case. For many years, Senior Sergeant Paul Reynolds was the face of dedication and commitment in the Tasmanian police community. An impressive career stretching over 38 years speaks volumes. Born in the coastal city of Devonport and having an education background from the prestigious Charles Sturt University, Reynolds had quite an illustrious service record. His leadership role as an inspector in Launceston and overseeing prosecution services in the northwest made him a prominent figure in the force. In parallel to his police service, his influence echoed on the football field. He wasn't just a passive participant, he took up the mantle as the president of the Northern Tasmanian Football Association. But given the allegations we're about to discuss, that raises a serious question. Was this position a testimony to his commitment to the game, or something more sinister? Behind the commendations, titles and public adoration lurked a secret so shocking that it shook the very foundations of trust. In November 2022, the news struck: explicit allegations of child exploitation. The investigation painted a picture of Reynolds allegedly engrossed in exchanging explicit materials with underage males. More disturbing was the claim of him grooming young boys, especially those associated with the Deloraine Football Club. The extent of these allegations is staggering. Reynolds reportedly sent explicit images to these children, and in return received inappropriate photos from them. This wasn't just a one-off incident, but a series of questionable exchanges that continued for an undetermined duration. Beyond this, there were reports of him being present during intimate moments, like when these youths were showering, taking naked ice baths, and even at times giving these young boys rub-downs. In September 2018, officers from the Professional Standards Command paid a visit to Senior Sergeant Reynolds' Westbury property. They were there following the serious allegations laid against him. Faced with the prospect of his actions catching up with him, Reynolds made a shocking remark during this search. "This is career destroying. What an end to a 40-year career." Just a day after this search, the startling news spread. Senior Sergeant Paul Reynolds was no more. In one final act, he ensured he would never face trial for his alleged actions. The timing itself raises further questions. Did the looming threat of his actions being exposed play a part in his tragic decision? And more importantly, how many would choose to ignore or suppress these dark secrets? The decorated officer, once a symbol of trust, now stood shadowed with the taint of predatory allegations. Yet the case deepened further. Concern surfaced when the handling of his mother's finances was exposed. From a comfortable savings amount of over $165,000 just 2 days before Reynolds' death, her account plummeted to a meagre $31.68. The traces of the funds were lost in a maze of dubious transactions, further thickening the cloud of suspicions around Reynolds. It was also revealed that just 2 weeks prior to his death, Reynolds had sent a text to a man in Devonport saying he urgently needed $50,000. Did someone from within the force tip him off about the status of his investigation? Was Reynolds trying to pay his victims in order to keep them quiet? Given the allegations, you would expect Tasmania Police to distance themselves from the situation. However, in a blatant disregard of respect for the victims and community, what they did next was shocking. With Tasmania Police fully aware of these alleged heinous crimes, they would make quite the spectacle with a heavy presence at Reynolds' funeral. It was meant to be a tribute, a final salute. But we can only imagine, for the victims it must have seemed like a chilling display of defiance. This parade of an alleged predator was just another example of Tasmania Police and its failures. When symbols of protection and justice seem to rally behind a tainted badge, where do the victims turn for their justice? Reynolds' actions during the haunting 1996 Port Arthur massacre and his brave stance during the 2006 Beaconsfield mine incident would now stand in stark contrast to these grave allegations. While the stresses of police life, as emphasised by his father during the funeral, are undeniable, can they be a veil for the alleged heinous actions? For the victims, Reynolds' final act would ensure they never receive justice. He would never have his day in court and if found guilty be held responsible for these alleged crimes. However, the story doesn't stop there. The Tasmanian Police Force, revered by many, is now under intense scrutiny. In an ironic twist, it was only because of Reynolds' final act that his alleged crimes would finally be brought to our attention in 2022. A coronial inquest into his death and that of 3 other police officers would highlight the details of these shocking allegations from 2018. As the news spread, unsettling talk echoed around the streets of Deloraine. The community spoke out, suggesting it was a known rumour that he was a predator. And the rumours weren't vague, they were filled with distressing details. But how long had these whispers been ignored? Was this another example of Tasmania Police ignoring the truth and placing its community at risk? Digging deeper into this case, I uncovered some disturbing information. I looked into every single Tasmania Police media release available online for 2017 and 2018 and found only one statement on this matter. A media release dated March 10, 2017 stated that a Tasmanian police officer would face court on May 12, 2017 accused of possessing child pornography and that he had been suspended on full pay. Given the fact that we know police attended Reynolds' property in regard to this matter in September 2018, that can only mean that Tasmanian Police allowed this alleged predator to remain in the community for a full year and 7 months, despite already having enough evidence for this to proceed in the courts. How can this happen? A blatant disregard for the safety of the children in our community. And in what is a blatant slap in the face to all Tasmanians, we were paying Reynolds a significant wage during this extended period of time. And as for that May 12th court appearance, no records exist online in the police media release archive, and I was unable to find any mention of the matter from any media outlet. This raises maybe the most shocking question of all. Did Tasmanian Police try and bury these secrets alongside their disgraced officer? If not for this coronial inquest, would these secrets have been kept from us forever? With no answers and only more questions, this is deeply concerning. And when digging even deeper, it only gets more troubling. This isn't the first time Tasmania Police has been criticised for their alleged inaction against predators within the community. In a recent commission of inquiry into child sexual abuse, we heard how police had credible evidence that a man working as a children's nurse had been discussing child abuse online for over 4 years. But even more shocking was the revelation that despite several victims coming forward over several years, nothing was done because the complaints were filed inappropriately. How many more dark secrets are buried within the ranks? How much more remains hidden behind the badge? And most importantly, just how deep does this go? This is just one chapter in a story that's yet to unfold, and as we close this unsettling chapter, we're left with more questions than answers. Over time, we can only hope that the truth emerges, bringing clarity, justice, and closure for the victims. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, maybe hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Cheers.